This project of basically importing your photos, editing them, and then exporting them. If you open up graphics, you will see the Shimsky folder like this. Inside there, digital photo, and inside there, all of your photos. So if I go to Natalie's photo here, just to give you an example, in each one of your folders, you should have a few different folders for each of the projects. So the cars, landscape, we have one extra one here from Natalie because she shot something additional, and then the looking up project. So you should have one folder for each. Inside of there, once you bring me your photos, I will put the photos in there for you. Once that's done, and then you go back to your seat and you open up graphics to look at this folder, on your desktop, now don't get confused because I do have a lot of different things on my desktop, but what you want, which you did start doing a couple of classes ago, is you right clicked, you selected new folder, and then when you got there, you can create just by going in here and changing these to whatever it is. So your name, cars, your name, landscape, and so on and so on. Your other option, just so that you can see, is if you'd like and you have your stuff in this folder already, like we just looked at, you can literally drag these folders, these, directly from here onto your desktop. You could just drag them and copy them. You'll see the little green with the plus sign comes up, so you could drop them here and copy them. I'm going to do that just for one of Natalie's for now, just so we can see. I'm going to use her looking up ones. So I'm going to just drag it and copy it. Now you could do that for all of your photos. I'm just doing it for one just as practice so you can see for the video. And then once it copies itself to the desktop, that's good. You'll hear a little sound. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Lightroom. So just as a review for importing, and then we'll talk about editing and exporting. On the top of your screen, once you have the program open, be sure to select Library first. Once you select Library, you're going to go over to the left-hand side of your screen. You should see here underneath where it says Catalog. If you open up Catalog, you'll see all photographs. We want to import into this first. So we go down to the bottom. On the left-hand side, you'll see the little Import button. You click Import. This is the only one that becomes a little confusing sometimes, is that when this opens up, there's two things you want to do. First, you want to find the file. So on the top left-hand side where it says Source, you want to open up Source. You want to open up Macintosh HD. Then your desktop where you just saved that stuff to is Users. And then inside of there, you guys have the digital photo accounts. So yours will say digital photos. When you open that up, you'll see all the different things. So here's my desktop. I'm going to open up my desktop. Now again, I have a lot more folders than you guys do, but you should see the one that says, so in my case, I'm looking for Natalie Looking Up, this one. And when I click it, it's automatically going to show me whatever's in that folder. In this case, she has 6 different files in that Looking Up folder. Now before we hit import, at the top here you have options. You have copy as a DNG, copy the file completely, move the file, or just add the file. So what we're going to do is we're going to do just the add the file. What that does is it adds the photo to the catalog, but without actually moving them from the folder that's from your desktop. So we're going to hit add. In order to import these now, you'll notice that they are all checked at the top. Each one that I want to actually import has a little check next to it. Then at the bottom right-hand corner, I'm sorry to zoom in and out so much, but there is a import button at the bottom corner. So you're going to import them. So I'm going to do that now for mine. Now, once I've imported them, you'll see them show up here. It tells you a couple of things. It just added them to all my photographs. It also puts them in my previous import, which is the 6 I just did. You'll also notice this is just organizational stuff that here in collections, we had done this a few classes ago where we hit the plus button, we hit create new collection. And in there we had made a couple of new collections like the cars or the raw practice. So I would do a new collection here. And then for that collection, I would name it. I would name it, in this case, these are looking up photos. So I would type in, looking up. All right, and then I hit create. So it shows it right here for me. Right now it says 0 photos are in there. I want to now take the photos from all of my photos and bring them in there. So what do? I go to all photos here. I find the photos that I want. I click the first one. I'm just going to hold shift on my keyboard and grab the other 4 or 5, however many she's got here. I might be missing one, but I think that's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to take them, drag them and drop them from here into that looking up folder. Just like that. So now if I click the looking up folder, it's the only things that should be in there are those. All right, so that's all good. Now you are ready to edit. Go to the top of your screen, click on Develop. Once you click on Develop, you're going to see this image pop up. If you hit G on your keyboard, remember it's going to go back to the grid, which is going to jump you back to the library up the top. But you can double click or just click on any of the photos that you want to mess with. So I'll click on, I guess I'll use this one, the first one. Hit Develop. And what I want you to work on, because these are the only ones we've covered so far, are on the right-hand side. You remember that we looked at a few of these. That basically we did the first three. So the first one was Basic. When you open up Basic, there is a auto button here where it says tone. You'll notice that it moved a lot of the sliders around for you. It's a good start to kind of work that way, and then you can work off of that and then begin to change all of the different settings. So work on all of these: the temperature, the tint, this is part of white balance, then the tone where it goes exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, and then the presence, the texture, clarity, dehaze. Now everybody's photos are different, so there's not one thing I can tell you that's going to work on every single one of them, but use your eye as your best judgment of what you think is going to really improve the shot. All right, so that's the first category. That's the one that says Basic. The second one, the tonal curves, we went over this before too. If you remember, you can change each one of the different tonal curves based on the color, the red, green, blue. But what we said in class was if you just kind of put some points on this line and make it a little bit of an S, it generally speaking will give you a nice look to your photograph in addition to all the other edits that you're doing. And the last one here, which was HS color, lets you break down this image based on the colors that are up across this row here. So for example, this has a lot of orange in it already in the sky, beautiful sky. So if you go to the orange and yellow ones here, you can adjust that as much or as little as you'd like based on, you know, how much you want to kind of bring out from what's there. Saturation, luminance, all these options can be really nice to play with, especially when there's so much nice color in the image. So that looks pretty cool. Okay, so once you have those three, those are the only edits we're doing this time, I do want you to export this. Oh wait, one more thing, I'm sorry. At the top here, there is a crop tool, which we haven't talked about yet. When you click the crop tool, shh, the back there. When you click crop, it's only going to give you a couple of options here. And one is aspect ratio, where you can click and you can set it up based on a custom one, or you can change it yourself. So here on the edge, you can click and pull and resize the crop any which way you'd like. If you hold shift on your keyboard, it will keep it proportional. If you let go of shift, you can squish the crop down or squeeze the crop whichever way you want. Now this shot in particular has a beautiful sky to it, so I might go about here. Maybe I need a little less field. It's really up to you how you kind of want to crop it this time around. There is also an angle button that's right here, and you can slide the angle to change the rotation of how things look. So maybe like on this one I might go just a slight change in it could work. All right, now as soon as you're happy with it, at the bottom corner over here, you just hit the done button to finish that off. And then the last step after you've edited your photo is we are going to export this. So here's the steps for exporting. Up to the top, go to File, go down to Export. Once you hit Export, this window is going to pop up. A couple of things you want to be sure you do when the export window pops up. First of all, export to, make sure it does say hard drive. You're not emailing or putting it on a DVD. Export to same folder as original. Now, what I would do just to make sure you're doing it correct is do specific folder. And then when this comes up, it tells you it's in the user desktop, but just to be even sure about that, click choose. And that way you can find the folder. So in my case, I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to click on Natalie looking up, and I'm going to hit choose because that's where I want it to go back into. Okay, and then put in a subfolder. No, that's okay. Add to catalog. No. Existing file. Skip. Let's rename though. Rename to a custom name, and then this will pop up. And so what you would want is you'd want to name it whatever it is. Now, if this is the first one, just put a 1 after it. So Natalie looking up 1. This is all good, lowercase. Everything else is fine there. And then at the bottom right corner, you will hit export. All right, so let's make sure that it worked. All right, so I'm going to minimize this for a moment. I'm going to go back to my desktop. I'm going to check that folder, the Natalie looking up folder. Open it up. What's in here? Let's see. Yeah. So you'll notice that it actually did a It looks like it did a few, but this is the correct one that we just did today. It also did one for each of the others. I must have by accident clicked one wrong button, so it actually exported all of them from that whole series instead of just the one. But this one is the one that I just edited. This, let's see where the original one is. This is the original. So what becomes helpful for you at the end of each project that we do is select the original photos before you edit them. Right click on them, give them all a color, make them like red, and then all of the good ones like this one, right click and make them green so you know they're good to go. So when you go to hand this in on Google Classroom, you're actually going to hand in this one and this one for the project, the original and then the edited one, so I can see the differences that you made. Got it? If you don't do that, I can't see if you changed it at all, if you actually did the steps of editing the project. You can rename these if you find that you need to just make it, have it make more sense to you. Like you could do Natalie, you know, looking up original, like OG or something like that. And this way at least you know, okay, well, these are the two. And then those two could be handed in. All right, those are the basic steps. Use those categories, those 3 categories that we talked about in Lightroom, the basic, the tonal curve, and the HSL color, and then make sure you export everything you have.